You've been lied to. Every shiny bottle, every before and after photo, every influencer holding up a fat burner and telling you, "This changed my life," is part of a multi-billion-dollar industry built on one thing: your desperation to lose fat faster. And I'm going to break down exactly what the science actually says so you never waste another rupee or dollar on this stuff again. Because here's the cold hard truth. Most fat burners don't burn fat, they burn your wallet, and in some cases they burn your health too. So let's start with what a fat burner even claims to do, because the marketing language is deliberately vague. They say things like boosts metabolism, enhances thermogenesis, supports fat oxidation, which sounds incredibly scientific until you realize that drinking a glass of cold water also technically boosts your metabolism. So the real question is, by how much and for how long? And the answer for most fat burner ingredients is barely and briefly. Now, the most common ingredient you'll find in almost every fat burner is caffeine. And caffeine is actually the one ingredient that has legitimate research behind it. Studies show caffeine can increase your metabolic rate by roughly 3 to 11% and improve fat oxidation during exercise. But here's the catch. If you already drink coffee or tea every single day, your body has built a tolerance to caffeine, meaning that fat burner you just bought for 2,000 rupees is giving you roughly the same effect as a cup of chai. And the thermogenic effect of caffeine disappears almost entirely in regular users within a few weeks. So that's ingredient number one debunked. Now let's talk about green tea extract, which is the second most hyped ingredient. Green tea contains compounds called catechins, specifically EGCG, and yes, there are studies showing it can modestly increase fat oxidation, but the effect sizes are so small, we're talking about an extra 80 to 100 calories burned per day in the best case scenario, that it becomes completely irrelevant if your diet is off by even a handful of almonds. And this is where the psychology of fat burners gets really dangerous, because the moment someone buys a fat burner, something called the licensing effect kicks in. This is a real cognitive bias where your brain says, "I've done something healthy, so I deserve a reward." And that reward is usually food. So people subconsciously eat more after taking a fat burner because their brain has given them moral permission to do so. And studies on behavioral compensation show that people who use weight loss supplements consistently underestimate their calorie intake and overestimate their physical effort, meaning the fat burner is literally making you fatter through psychology alone. And that's before we even get to the dangerous stuff. Ingredients like synephrine, yohimbine, and DMAA have been linked to increased heart rate, elevated blood pressure, anxiety, insomnia, and in extreme cases, cardiac events. The FDA has issued warnings and banned certain compounds found in fat burners multiple times, and yet companies just rename the ingredient, reformulate the product, and keep selling it. Because the supplement industry in most countries, including India, operates with almost zero pre-market regulation, meaning a company can put nearly anything in a capsule, make vague claims, and sell it legally until someone gets hurt. Now let's talk about the ingredients that have literally zero mechanism of action. Raspberry ketones, Garcinia cambogia, CLA. These were massive trends. Raspberry ketones were made famous by a certain TV doctor. Garcinia cambogia had its own viral moment. And the research on all three is either done on rats in doses impossible to replicate in humans, or the human studies show no significant difference from placebo. And a placebo is exactly what most fat burners are. Expensive, cleverly marketed placebos that exploit your hope, your urgency, and your biology. Because here's what's actually happening in your body when you want to lose fat. Fat loss requires a caloric deficit, full stop. Your body needs to burn more energy than it takes in. And the only proven, sustainable, side effect-free ways to increase that deficit are resistance training, which raises your resting metabolic rate by building muscle tissue, walking, which is the most underrated fat loss tool on the planet and has zero cost, a high-protein diet, which increases the thermic effect of food and preserves muscle during a cut, and sleep, which directly regulates ghrelin and leptin, the two hormones that control your hunger and satiety. Meaning if you sleep 6 hours instead of 8, you will be measurably hungrier the next day regardless of what fat burner you take. And this is the conversation the supplement industry does not want you having. Because once you understand that the real levers of fat loss are free, protein, sleep, and movement, you stop buying their products. So the next time you see a fat burner ad, ask yourself 3 questions. Does this ingredient have peer-reviewed human studies? What is the actual effect size, and what behavior am I trying to outsource to a pill? Because fat loss is not a chemistry problem, it's a behavior problem, and no capsule has ever fixed a behavior problem. What actually works is building systems. Meal prepping on Sunday so you don't binge on Wednesday, getting your steps in without thinking about it, lifting weights 3 to 4 times a week, and being patient enough to let the process compound. And the most powerful thing you can do for your physique is to stop looking for shortcuts and start respecting the timeline. Because the people with the best bodies you've ever seen are not the ones who found the best fat burner. They're the ones who showed up the longest, so save your money, ditch the pills, fix your sleep, eat your protein, and trust the process. That's the truth about fat burners.